Yeah. Wait, should we record this? Because I saw this on my feed and I was going to leave a comment and I saw your comment on it. And then I
Yeah.
didn't even end up leaving my comment.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. Okay.
Okay. When you start your business, no one ever prepares you for what's in store. So finding someone else who just gets it is sometimes the thing that can keep you pushing towards those big vision board business goals.
We're turning our Zoom coffee chats into a weekly, unfiltered podcast for online business owners. There were so many good ones, we always wanted to record them and repurpose them for content anyways. And that's on being a social media manager.
I'm Jessica Sheehy.
And I'm Madeleine Digan. And this is
hashtag
managed. I think it's perfect.
I like it. I like it. So this is like a really safe space for us, right? As business owners, podcast hosts. I have to just start off with my weekend / week before / literally the week of that we're recording this. I'm thinking to myself, what the actual heck am I doing with, I don't say life, I don't want to be super dramatic for the start of this episode, but just with business. And I think, and I'll go a little deeper into it in just a second, but I've been realizing that, and I think I talked about this with like going on the trip and feeling so relaxed and feeling so great. It was so great, so grateful I could do that. I definitely had the thoughts creep in like this over the weekend of like, why did I even do that? Like, oh my gosh, should I set myself up for failure? Like, is this the reason why I'm so burnt out? But I've been thinking to myself, like, why am I like sabotaging myself in business right now? Like, I'm saying yes to all these things. I'm letting clients go over boundaries, which, wow, so timely for this social media manager Scaries episode for Halloween. But I just wanted to come on and start this and be so real. And I know like you and I, Maddie, have real conversations all the time like this, and we have them on the podcast, but I feel like this is our safe space. And right now, guys, my head is just like I'm spinning. I'm working such early hours in the morning, such late hours at night. I think like my eyes can no longer stare at a screen. Like, you know, when you feel like that, but you're like, that to-do list is daunting as heck. So that's my crazy like weekend thoughts is like, what am I even doing? How did I get here? And I feel like I'm such a problem solver that I'm like, how do I get out of here really quickly?
Yep. On top of that, too, I don't know if you're, because also same, but my boss right now keeps reminding me, also Jessica's my boss, but my other boss, but she keeps, because again, I don't know why I just said again, but the holidays are literally here. And
Mhm.
if you, dear listener, I'm assuming you are in the marketing field or a business owner yourself, where it's like e-commerce, boutique, whatever it may be, the holidays are here. You're freaking out about what to, like, maybe you haven't even thought about your promos and all this stuff. My boss keeps reminding me that in all the emails that I'm currently writing, which we will get into, that in the sub-subject line, I need to keep including like how many weeks until Christmas. And for all of you who are wondering, I believe right now, as of today, it's like 8 weeks. Maybe I need to look this up, but yeah,
Oh
like
my god.
it's yeah, right. That
That
puts it
just
into
scared
perspective.
me. I know we're doing a Halloween episode, but that just scared
I
me.
Yeah, yeah. So just know that, like, I think this Week in Thoughts is good where it's like, if you are feeling this way right now, like, so are we. So
Mm.
are we. Hang on, go on. I wanna confirm, though, how many weeks it is until Christmas.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah. I wanna just say, like, welcome to Q4 as a
Yeah.
marketer. Like, wow, if this is your first Q4, like, I don't know, that's like the initiation to me, like, um, into, like, becoming, like, a marketing professional. Like, you're not a marketing
Yes.
professional. You've, like, completed your first Q4, and, like, we will all have a party once it's over because
Yep.
wow, there's there's nothing crazier than Q4. As I creep up to it, I'm like, "Oh, it's not gonna be so bad, it's not gonna be so bad." Here I am, what are we, like, week 3 or 4 into Q4, and I'm just like,
Mhm.
what am I doing? Like, what am I doing with my life?" I also wanna say, because I feel like this is for all of you listening, like, whoa, if you're listening to this, like, first thing, like, Monday morning, you're like, "Okay, hello." I wanted to also come across, like, and I think I can speak for Maddie as well on this too, like, we're not we're complaining, yes, but we're not complaining, right? Like,
Mhm.
I still feel like even with all of the craziness that has come from this role, like, over the past couple weeks, and now that we're in Q4, like, I still feel like this is my job. Like, it's so wild to me, like, that this is literally what I can do. Now, yeah, everything comes with its pros and cons, and I think we always talk about that here on the podcast, and today, of course, we're gonna poke some fun and share some, scary social media manager stories around the campfire for Halloween, but, yeah, I still feel like this is crazy. Like, I still have the freedom to, like, wake up when I want to in the morning, right?
Mhm.
Like, I'm not rushing out to commute, or I'm not rushing to start a job at a specific time. Now, like, do I have early calls some mornings? Yeah, so I have to get up and, like, make myself look somewhat presentable. But if I'm being honest with you guys, I'm pretty sure every day this week I have woken up and I've gotten ready, like, for Zoom, but I'm literally like business on top, pajamas on bottom, because that's just the vibe of Q4 for me.
Yep, yep. Okay, and just to confirm, so when this episode comes out, it will be 8 weeks. It's currently
Okay.
9, but
Okay.
regardless, I don't know about you, but I've not started any of my holiday shopping, and I'm just like, "Oh, okay."
I feel so behind. I feel so behind. I'm behind on that. I'm behind on, like, even thinking about, like, we had a couple of, like, team, like, calls, and I had some one-on-ones with some people on the team this week, and I was just like, "Yeah, we're gonna think about Black Friday and holiday marketing next week." Like, I'm just putting on the agenda right now. This is
Yeah,
next week's problem.
and you know
So
what? If you I'm sorry, but if you, because obviously as marketers, we know, like, you should be thinking about your holiday campaigns, like,
Mhm.
ideally in, like, Q3, if not sooner,
Mhm.
essentially,
Yeah.
but there's but how realistic is that for all of us?
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe one day I don't know.
Yeah. I'll agree, like, and I think a big piece of that too, like, now granted, like, team social savvy, like, if you're listening to this, you might be, like, solopreneur or something, and I'll even say, like, we have a few people on the team that I'm super grateful for, but, like, we're still a small, scrappy team, and when I
Mhm.
say scrappy, like, we're all, like, all hands are on deck for every single project that we do for clients and podcasts and everything, because that's just the nature of, like, our size. Like, we're not a full-blown, like,
Yes.
agency where people have specific roles and whatnot, but yeah, it's just don't feel like don't feel like you're behind, because honestly, you're right on par with Maddie and myself, so I think you're right on track.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah, so we'll get there. I feel like, again, it's all because, like, we are in Q4, it's a crazy time, whether you're working with 1 client or 3 or 5, like, there's a lot of stuff going on. Just give yourself a little bit of space, and I when I said that earlier around, like, "Oh, I'm complaining, but I don't wanna sound complainy." Like, why do we always, like, feel bad for complaining? That's like that's, like, not a weekend
It's
thought,
like
it's a thought I'm
venting,
having right
it's a
now. Like,
venting yeah,
yeah,
no, but, like, it's venting, complaint, like, I think if
yeah,
we weren't complaining/venting like this, that's how this podcast even got started, let's be real.
mhm,
Or
yeah,
as my Gen Z, coworkers, my new favorite okay, this is my weekend thought. My new favorite slang or, like, lingo that people are saying is "be for real." Be for real. Like,
mhm,
it's just so sassy, and I love it when they'll, like, be telling me a story, and they'll be like, "Be for real." And I'm like, I don't know. I
mhm.
love it. I think it's so cute and
I like
so
that.
funny.
I like that. I'm here for the Gen Z slang, because I feel like I'm so it really shows you, like, because people are always like, "Oh, like, are you millennial or Gen Z or are you zillennial?" And so I feel
Mhm.
like when it comes to slang, like, in what I know and don't know, like, I feel like that tells you specifically, like, what generation I fall under.
Yes.
And even over this weekend as well, my sister came back into town, and we were at dinner, and she was, like, talking about, like, what Gen Alpha, right? Gen Alpha, that's the one
Mhm.
under Gen Z, younger. She's, like, talking about, like, things they're doing and their slang, and she's like, "Oh, it's so annoying." And I was like, "Oh, the circle of life, the circle of generations."
Yes.
Like, welcome
Yes.
to the club as a
Yep.
millennial who's been here for a while and has thought to herself, "Wow, Gen Z, interesting." But I love Gen Z. Like, I'm not someone
Yeah.
who's, like, a hater of, like, the younger generations because I'm like, I think you guys are cool and I just wanna be friends. So,
Yeah. Yes. Yes. I agree.
yeah. Should we dive into our weekly reports? Do you wanna start with
Yeah.
yours?
Yes. Okay. So, reading The Courage to Be Disliked, I'm not even going to attempt the authors. It will be in the newsletter. Um, which I know if you've been listening and you're like, Madeline, like, where has it been the past 2 weeks? I know. Well, you got it last weekend. Okay, we're back on track. But anyway,
Mhm.
so that would be the newsletter. I'm eating poke bowls. I'm
Ooh, love.
playing Lie to Me, which that like, you need to tune into my personal Madeleine Digan Instagram stories for that because I kinda wanna do a series on that too because everybody's obsessed with has been obsessed with it. Honestly, one of my friends
Mhm.
told me to watch it because the newest season came out and she wanted to discuss it with me, and the first episode, I was like, "Oh, I don't know. Is this gonna be a show I stop?" But everybody so I, like, decided to go to my Instagram stories and be like, "Okay, first episode, like, what are our thoughts?" And people have opinions. They have thoughts on this show. So, I kinda
Mhm.
wanna do a series about that, like, my reactions and just my thoughts. That we'll see. We'll see. Um,
Mhm.
obsessing over cooler temperatures, especially, like, just Charleston fall, like, oh, it's the perfect weather right now. I'm
Mhm.
recommending that you clean out your pantry. It is going to be an
Mhm.
OCD type of weekend for me this upcoming weekend. We are cleaning. And then I'm
Mhm.
treating myself to Trader Joe's flowers.
Ooh, so good. So good. Did I share that we have a Trader Joe's opening up literally, like, minutes from where I'm currently living, and I also told
No.
Ryan, I'm like, "It's gonna open up right before I move." I just know it.
Mhm.
That's how my it's how my life works. So, that's a good one. I feel like mine is very, like, I don't know, I guess maybe not so Trader Joe's themed, but there's a few things on there that are, but
I'm excited.
yeah. Okay, so let me dive into my weekly report. Reading, I am in a I'm like semi in a reading funk.
Okay.
And so honestly, when I do get in a reading funk again, and I think it's just because I'm trying to find like another like new author to read, and I just need to like get into it. So I'm traveling this weekend. I feel like whenever I can like download a book pre-flight, then I'm hooked. And so that's my excuse to read. But I'm reading a book that I really, really like. And you guys are, I'm going to tell you what it is. And you're going to think back to my like weekend thoughts that I started this podcast with. And you're like, no, you need to chill. Like, what do you mean? So I'm reading an oldie but a goodie. And I don't know the author, but I can send it to Maddie for the newsletter.
Uh-huh.
It's 10x is better than 2x. And my brain is, like, crazy, and so I love the concept of 10x is better than 2x so much that I tell this to Ryan all the time. Like, whenever Ryan again, he's not a social media manager, but he works in marketing and works for a corporate role. Whenever he's thinking about doing something or, like, wanting to improve something, I literally am so annoying. I'm like, "10x is better than 2x." And it's exactly what it sounds like, and that it's easier to do that. So, anyway, I love that concept. It's a really good book if you're interested in reading it. Eating chili. I'm we're not in cooler
Mhm,
temps here where I am in Tampa, which is a bummer, but I'm channeling them. I'm, like, cranking the AC a little
mhm,
bit. I'm into chili. I love making a chili. It's one of my favorite things to cook, and honestly, I'll go to Trader Joe's and just buy a bunch of random supplies, and I will preface by saying, I can probably share a recipe if anyone's interested in the newsletter, I can share it,
mhm.
but I never follow the exact same recipe. That's how I cook, if you guys wanna know, which is why I don't bake because I don't follow a recipe. So, um, I'll switch up, like, a few things like veggies or spices, but I'm in a chili era. Playing I'm listening to a new podcast, Wellness Her Way by Gracie Norton. I really am kind of in, like, a I don't know, I'm like, maybe, like, my theme isn't Trader Joe's of this, it's, like, literally, like, self-help themed for my weekly
Yeah.
report, but it's a really great podcast. I love all of the, like, health and wellness topics that she talks about. There's been a lot of really great episodes around, like, healing with food and, like, cycle syncing and, like, just, I don't know, holistic things that I'm really, really liking at this moment. I'm obsessing over fall nails, and I don't have any right now, but I desperately need a nail appointment, and I'm now obsessing over Maddie's fall nails, so edit to a weekly report recommending that you do a hair mask. I feel like since the seasons are changing, like, it's the perfect time. I don't know if you've used this one, Maddie, but one of my favorites is Vegamore's, moisture repair mask. I feel like my hair just always needs moisture, and even though I really don't need to use Vegamore, because 'cause I'm pretty sure all of their products are for, um, hair growth and all of that. I feel like my hair grows so much and it's so thick. But it smells delicious, so that's
Pack the
where I'm
packet the
Mhm.
packaging's also chef's kiss. So
Yes.
cute.
Yes. So good. So good, and treating myself to pumpkin bread. I'm in a chili and pumpkin bread era right now, and so treating myself to that. No, I'm not baking it. I have so many saved, like, pumpkin bread recipes on TikTok, but like I said, I don't follow a recipe to a T. That's just who I am as a person, and I have to own that part of me. So, that's my weekly report.
I love that. Okay. Well, it's time for the water cooler, which I don't know if you guys noticed, but we have some new sound effects and an intro and outro. And there's still time to enter our giveaway where you leave us a review. And maybe in that review, you tell us what you think about the new intro and the new outro and
Mhm.
these fun um, little musical clips. We
Yeah.
like them, so I think the intro's been my favorite, but anyways, let's get into
Mhm.
it. Yes.
Quick, sorry to
Yes.
interrupt. I wanna
No.
do a quick shout out to Harmony, podcast producer. Shout out to Harmony.
Yes.
You're awesome. Harmony was out of town last week in Hawaii. I'm putting her on blast with this. So now she needs to put things in for the newsletter. Um, Um, but I had to edit the podcast and oh my gosh, guys, I'm not a podcast editor. So I feel like I need to give Harmony. So if you didn't like last week's episode, don't blame Harmony. You can blame myself. It's totally fine. Also, other shout out to Maggie, our wonderful, wonderful intern who has helped us so much with season 2 things that are unraveling. So quick shout out for that. Sorry, Maddie, back to you.
No, and it's honestly just the beginning too. Like, I wish I could have seen some of your guys' reactions to, like, the new intro. Obviously, we didn't warn you guys, but
Mhm.
I'm just hoping there were some, like, audible gasps or, like, yeah, I'm just hoping hoping there were some of those, but anyways, okay, let's get into
Yep.
it. Can we talk about how frustrating it is to be ghosted and or rejected by potential clients? 2 weeks ago, I had a potential client fill out the inquiry form on my website. When I took a look at the type of work she does a she's a doula and birth coach. I wrote her back a really detailed message basically saying that I admired the work she did as I have a family member who suffered from a traumatic birthing experience and I'd be stoked for the chance to help with her socials. She responded back thanking me for my message and saying that she was looking forward to talking the following week on our discovery call. I spent the whole weekend prepping for our call and making sure my presentation is perfect. Then, just 1 hour before our scheduled call, she cancels it. I reach out asking if she wants to reschedule. No reply. I wait 3 days and reach out a second time. Nothing. Finally, 10 days later, I reach out saying that it's no hard feelings if she's no longer interested, but to at least grant me the courtesy of letting me know. And that's when I finally get, "Hi, I'm going in a different direction. Thanks for your time." And I'm just like, why has ghosting become so acceptable in business? What happened to being adults? Girl. Obviously, rejection part sucks too, but it's really the initial ghosting that gets on my last nerve. I was so looking forward to this, and to have everything blow up at the last minute is so frustrating. Would love to know if anyone else can relate. Yes.
I can so
Yes.
relate to that. As someone as someone who cares a little too much, like, if I ever see an email or a DM or a follow or a discovery call or anything, because I'm kind of crazy, from, like, a really awesome brand that I wanna work with, if it doesn't work out, like, I fixate on it. I prep for it, like, I think so similar to this. Um, I wanna do a quick, like, shout out as well. I feel like if you guys go back and listen to Maddie reading that water cooler, because I love her response to seeing that message come through on her website. That go Granted, did not work out in this scenario, which I think is rare. It's not,
Mhm.
it's the exception, not the rule. But I think a big piece of that is so important. Like, send those personalized messages and emails back when someone reaches out for services versus like a blank template. So, granted, you might not have a personal experience like this, but I think that's so important. I want to say too, like, I feel like unfortunately ghosting is a huge part of this industry. I've had I've had clients ghost after sending an email, after booking a call, even not showing up, and even not replying after that call. I've had them ghost after a proposal. I've had them I've had clients ghost after they sign the proposal and pay the first month's invoice. Like, there was a client I had maybe 1 or 2 years ago, never heard from her. I'm like, "Okay, do you want this, like, money back? Because I guess you don't wanna work with me?" Like, just so bizarre, like, when it happens. I think unfortunately, it's just sometimes people aren't as professional as you are, maybe? Like, I think that's honestly what I really chalk it up to. It sucks, it does, like, let's just, call it like it is. It's not you, it's not what you did, it's not your business or results, it's that person. It's not right. They should have responded right away. Because I get it, like, life happens. I mean, there's been times where I've had a call with someone, and I have to switch it quickly, right? I lose power, lose internet, like, I'm sick, or I don't know, anything happens, so that definitely makes sense, but I think it happens. It's just, unfortunately, I feel like it's a part of business, which I hate reporting that because I feel like that's not super positive, but what do you think, Maddie? Would you say the same, like, in your experience?
Yeah. And I feel like I've also heard it happen to clients I work with, depending on the type of client. So, like,
Mhm.
people in the wedding industry. I feel like it happens to people in the wedding industry all the time. Because again, you have the brides who just got engaged and they're just mass messaging the planners, the photographers, the
Mhm.
florist, and, like, who knows? They probably reached out to 5 to 10, some crazy
Yeah,
amount, and just yeah, it does
yeah.
suck, but this is one I think I'm just learning to not take the ghosting personally. Like, I know that's
Mhm.
easier said than done, but it's
Yep.
just I think too, it was easier said than done when I really was focusing on the buzzing bond. Like, obviously, yes, now, but if you're new here listening, like, right now, like, I have my business, The Buzzing Blonde, but at this time, I'm not really putting a lot of my energy into my business. I'm really putting a lot of energy to being an in-house marketer, and I like to make note of that to new listeners as well, because this is the podcast where your social media marketing and just marketing journey in general may change. Like, you might start as a solopreneur. You might realize like you want to go back to being a corporate marketing girly pop, or like me, where it's like you kind of have the flexibility of being in-house marketer, where it's like, so kind of you only have one client at the time, but they are the ones who take up your entire energy. Um,
Mhm.
and so I know I struggled with the ghosting more so when I was in Jessica's shoes, where it's just like you're trying to get these new clients and doing all the discovery calls and all of that. And if I'm being honest here, because we're being honest, I think that is what led me to a lot of burnout, and hence my in-house marketing, because I'm just
Yeah.
like, my feelings, I'm like, I don't know how much more of this I can take. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
if I'm being
Yeah.
honest, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. And I think that advice, like, you really can't take things personally. I think that's one thing as well, like, when this is kind of like a and we're gonna talk about a couple of these stories when we get to the juicy part of this episode. But when I think about the, like, crazy client stories or clients who've rejected me or ghosted me or given me a hard time or broken boundaries, like, when I think about it, like, for them, our relationship is so transactional. But
Mhm.
that's like, I'll be honest
Mhm.
with you guys, like, I do not think about that at all. Like, I do not I mean, yes, is it transactional, the work that I do? Absolutely, but I'm like, "Wow, they hired me, they hired the team, they hired Social Savvy," like, all of the things that I've done have, like, not to be dramatic, have led up to this point and them, like, wanting to work with us or even inquiring about it. So, I think just you really can't take it super personal. I think it's a good rule of, and not to say that there's any fault with this, but I think you just have to be really choosy about your time, like giving your time to other people for this scenario, right? Because I feel like a lot of work went in for that presentation, preparing for that sales call, and just being excited for it. And I know that can happen at any point. Maybe you put a lot of work into the proposal and send it, it doesn't work out. Like, I think you just have to realize that time is such a valuable resource, and sometimes it's not always what you're going to get back and out of something. That's one thing that I think I realized, maybe, like, let me be real, probably 2 or 3, maybe 4 years into Social Savvy, because we're going into what, 6 at this point. So, I think a big piece of that is, like, I can't expect clients or leads or whoever to give a crap as much as I do. Like, give 110% as I do. Give as much time as I do. Like, you just have to just, again, I think Maddie's advice was perfect. Like, you just can't take it personally.
Mhm.
So,
But I do wanna add too, I like what you said though, because the transactional, I think what was also hard for me is I'm such a well, first of all, I'm such a people pleaser, but I think
mhm.
looking back, what I wish I could have told my younger self too, and when I say younger self, I just mean like, what, 25-year-old me? But,
Mhm.
um, is that try how do I wanna say this? I would take every single client and treat them almost like family, and so that was what made it hard. Like, I kept it professional, but at the same time, I think sometimes I may have opened myself up too much,
Mhm.
and that's on me. That's on me person but
Mhm.
maybe if you're listening and you also feel that, I'm not telling you to put up a wall per se, but maybe you try and take a few steps back and just again remember, like, this is business, this is professional, and like,
Mhm.
yes, it's that comes first though.
Yeah.
Eh, I don't that's again, that was easier said than done. That's still hard for me
Yeah.
because I think I would be very optimistic, being like, "Oh, you're gonna be a client with me for forever," and then shit would hit
Mhm.
the wall. So
Yep, yep, I can relate to that big time. Yeah. Even now, I mean, the amount of times I get blindsided, like, it's
yeah.
just you have to get used to it. I know this isn't the water cooler for today, but I think a big thing that is, and I don't even know if this is even a social media manager scary, so I feel like I just have to say it now, but
Mm,
I've been seeing so much talk around churn, like, as a social media manager, like,
mm,
churn of clients, and that is one thing that probably took me the longest to be okay with it.
mhm,
Um, it took me, like, such a long time, like, honestly, maybe like a year and a half ago, because
mm,
I would go over like our data, our numbers, our financials, and I would just be like, what is wrong? And I would just drive myself crazy thinking like, is it me? Is it something that we're doing as a team? Is it our work? Is it our effort? Like, what is it? Is our systems? Like, you start thinking about everything under the sun, and it's like, churn happens. I feel like ghosting and churn of clients, like retention, like granted you want good retention, like the longer a client retains, the more money you're making, like and then the better work, right? You can like do working with them, but it definitely happens like a lot. And I don't know. That's one thing that again, I've recently learned that. It's not something I knew forever. But now when clients churn, whether if I have to let a client go or if they have to go or if they just I don't know, if it ends more abruptly, whatever the case is, I'm just kind of like, "Okay, on to the next one." Which I think that's just the nature of the business we're in. I mean, when you think about it, like if you were like a social media manager or marketer in a corporate setting, like the churn happens. It's just longer because it's an employment role over a contractor. And so, anyway, I'm getting us way off topic, but I hope that answers and helps a little bit with this water cooler. But we'll go into some more scaries in just a minute. Should we talk about what's on our feed first?
yes. I want you to go first because I'm obsessed with it. That's what I would
I
be
pulled
this
this
is
and I
what
was
I
like,
should I was gonna say this is what I'm obsessing over. Well, I just you know why.
mhm.
Continue.
Yes, yes. And if you guys are like an avid listener of the podcast, if you know, you know, you know. And so I pulled this and I saw this and I loved it and I was like, I'm pulling this. Maddie's gonna love it. So anyway, on my feed were clips on TikTok of Pamela Anderson on Barrymore's show, which I think is just the Drew Barrymore show. And she is talking about why she ditched makeup. And I really think like if you're hearing that and you're like, "Oh no, like I'm a makeup lover, like what is going on?" I think I can speak for Maddie and myself, like we are both like makeup
Mm,
lovers. Like that doesn't change. And that if you really watch this portion of her interview on the show, like it has nothing to do with about makeup or products or anything like that, but the one, I love how she articulates her thoughts. I know we've talked about her as just a writer and
mm,
how she can really speak so eloquently, and I loved that. But I loved her message on self-love. And she was obviously Drew Barrymore went makeup free for this segment or episode. I didn't watch the full episode, full disclosure, but she did. There was another woman on there who I know is a famous actress. I want to say her name is like Valerie is her first name, and I can't remember her last name. I'm forgetting it. I can try to look it up, but I know at one point she's an actress, and she was also on the Food Network. And you guys are probably thinking, like, Jessica, we need a
I know no, because she is it, Valerie Bertinelli?
yes, yes,
Okay,
yes.
weird, because quick side note, I read or I listened to Matthew Perry's autobiography or, not autobiography,
Mhm.
memoir on the way home
Yeah.
from Indiana, and he mentioned having a crush on her and just also, oh my gosh, you were
Mhm.
so right about Matthew's memoir, and oh my gosh, that deserves its own whole
Mhm.
episode, but anyways, sorry, continue.
Yeah, and so, yes, that Valerie Bertinelli and the 3 of them talking about, loving their skin and being okay with it and how it's a societal thing and just I mean, wow, they're, not to call them out for their age, but they're obviously older than we are, but they
Mhm.
just look so great. I think there's so much to be said about their confidence. Like that is the one thing that I self-love and confidence were the 2 things that I took out from this segment, and I just thought that was just so refreshing. Like how refreshing it is to be able to go, like, makeup free, and I think that's the other really important thing about self-love and confidence, like, there's still room for full glam or for some airbrush or just, like, buying new makeup products, it's just loving the skin you're in, so I would definitely recommend you could just search it on TikTok and you'll find a couple of clips, from her segment with Drew Barrymore, and I thought it was so great, and it was so beautifully said. She's such a great speaker, I could probably listen to her, like, talk forever, so I had to add that from on my feed.
Love Pamela, and let us not forget that
Mhm.
she did like my story. I'm just saying. Anyways, okay, on my
Mhm.
feed, this one's for the one deers. I can't I was definitely I loved One Direction, but also they when they became famous, we were the same age, and so me listening to the girls who work with me who are younger than me, they're them experiencing what I'm about to say is very different than me. To me, this would be like
Mhm.
Taylor Swift. Like their mourning,
Mhm.
I get it. So obviously what is on my
Mhm.
feed is Liam Payne's passing, and just all of I should say not boys, they're men, but all of the
Right.
members all the members, statements to his passing,
Mhm.
I will say Zayn and Louis had me bawling because I knew that, like, Zayn and him, like, they butted heads and whatnot, and to which he even said that in there where he's like, I
Mhm.
still admired you. We were still I think all of them can agree like, they shaped each other and just
Yeah.
all of them. I was
Yeah.
just like, "Oh my gosh." So,
Mhm.
this sounds so like, I don't know. That is what I also have not really been on social, but, like, that
Mm.
was, like, consuming my feed. So,
Yeah. 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 I
were
know,
you
it's
one dear?
so I I think I would agree that I feel like I was a little older. I
Mhm.
will say, like, at the time gosh, how old would my sister have been? So she's 20 now, if that can help you guys gauge, like, when she
Yeah.
was little, when One Direction was big, because that was what, like, 10 to 12 years ago? So she would probably be, like, 8
Yeah.
or 9 if I'm, like, doing the math right in my head. And so she was, like, huge, huge fan. So one year for her birthday, I got her like, they were here at our stadium, did when they did their stadium tour, I got her tickets, I went with her, I was, like it was, like, so many screaming kids because it was, like,
Oh.
5 Seconds of Summer, and at that point, I, like, wasn't, like, an adult
Oh.
adult, but I was like, "Oh,
Mm.
these kids," that's when you realize it's, like,
Uh-huh.
right at but it was so fun regardless, and so that and then I remember I have, like, another memory because it was I think around the same time when their movie came out, like, in
Mm.
theaters, and I remember just it being so hilarious because I brought my sister there, I bought her tickets, we went, it was, like, the 11 or midnight showing, like, on that Thursday or whatnot. I walk in, go up to our seats, and I'm pretty sure I see, like, 5 or 6 of my friends, and they're like, "Oh my god, like, we didn't make a plan for this," and I'm like, "What the heck are you guys doing here?" So I'm like, I guess we were, like, borderline one deers, but
Yeah.
I think as far as, like, obviously remember, like, how big and they are, like, such a huge, like, cultural and musical, like, phenomenon
Mhm.
just of being a boy band and how they started, but I think in terms of, like, music, I wouldn't consider myself, like, a One Direction or, like, a 1D or
Mhm.
anything like that, like, I think also around that same time, I think if I'm remembering it correctly, I was more of a believer. So, like, I'm
Oh,
really showing, like, my
100%.
true
Yeah, nope,
Yeah,
nope, nope. Yep. And
yeah.
'cause I was trying to tell the girls at work, I'm like, "Listen," 'cause so what day are we? I don't even know. I was working in the boutique though, and that's all I was playing. Like I was just like, let's do
Mhm,
it. Like I'm just gonna play some One
mhm.
Direction because Grant they have bots. Like I'm not here if
They
I'm
do,
hoping
yeah,
like
yeah.
I really do low key hope we have some true one deers because that again just tells me we really do have a younger demographic. I'm like, oh, okay. But um one of the girls came in and she was like, "I love you so much for playing this right now." I was like, "Listen," I'm like, "These are bops, like, I
They
know
they
pr" yeah. So I in conclusion, I was like, "Yeah, I'm hip, I'm young."
Yeah, yeah, but I will say, obviously, it's, like, super tragic, and
Yeah.
seeing I was watching, like, E! News or something, and they were talking about, like, the just, like, phenomena of, like, the
Mm,
fan base. Because there's and we've talked about this before, right? Obviously, we know the Swifties, huge fan base.
mhm.
Even, like, the Beliebers, huge fan base, because it's worldwide. Like, it's ginormous for all of these people. One Directioners, for sure. I would even, like, and I don't listen to any of these bands. I mean, I know it's, like, played on, like, our radio
Right.
here, but even, like, K-pop, like, being such, like, global, like, huge followings, and so, all that to say, to see that on social media just kind of be, like, woken up, unfortunately, for some not so great news is really, really crazy to see just how big and impactful, like, the internet is. So, it's
Yeah.
very, very crazy. Yeah. Can I also add one quick thing that's on my feed that I think I just wanna say
Yes.
it because it just shows, like, how impactful social media is. I don't know if you see this or know about this relationship, but I don't my sister is more of a fan of Zach Bryan and Brianna Chicken Fry. Do you know Brianna Chicken Fry, Barstool? She's on
Oh,
the
yeah.
BFF's podcast, Zach Bryan, country music artist. My sister is a huge Zach Bryan fan. I'm calling her out. She's been to many Zach Bryan concerts. I think she cries during all of them. I think she cries during all concerts, actually. I mean, who doesn't? But anyway, this huge fan. I'm pretty sure she woke up and found out that they were breaking up through a post he did. He, like, posted something,
Mm.
like a poem, like he's on Raya again, which is that, like, what, celebrity social, like,
Ew.
so crazy. And one thing about him is, like, I do know, like, he used to be married. I think he, like, got divorced through very similar, proceedings, actions to this, and
Mhm.
so interesting. But all that to say, like, social media, obviously we're, working for small brands and creating content, but in terms of, like, celebrities and musicians, it's the wild, wild west. So, I just we went
Thank
we went so full circle from Pamela Anderson to Liam to breakups, like
But, like, I know I'm gonna be deep diving tonight because now I'm just like, "Wait, what?" Oh
Mhm.
my okay,
Yeah,
okay, yeah.
yeah. So
But
crazy,
that
so crazy, but
talk about
yeah,
scary, though. I feel like that's a good transition for the Scaries because the audacity
yep,
of some
agreed.
men,
Because who
like,
wants
oh my gosh.
mm,
Okay.
agreed. Perfect, perfect transition. Yeah, should we share some scary stories, some spooky things that we've encountered and just think exists in the world of
Yeah,
social media beyond what's on our feeds?
yes, and let me start. Is that cool?
Okay. Yes. Yes. Do share. Do share.
Okay, when a client asks you to have all of their November, December, and January B2B and B2C emails done by November 1st. Wait for it. Without having any planning meetings regarding the promos or holiday game plan. Just
So
that's a
many
lot
parts
to
of that are
that's a lot
scary.
to digest. Yes, yes.
Yeah. So many scary parts. I don't even know, like, what's scarier. Is it the amount of emails? The no planning meeting? The crazy deadline, like, which we've all encountered at some point in our career? Yeah. So so many, it's scary on all accounts.
Based on a true story.
Yeah. Right, right, yes. Insert disclaimer there. So, okay, I have a true story scary thing that is also very timely. So, there was some reasoning why we went full Halloween theme for for this episode. We have some stories we need to vent.
That's
Um, when a client tells you that you can't in fact fire them,
when you
I think it I think it goes beyond, like, just being scared to fire a client, but I think I was even more scared when I was told that I could not fire them.
mhm. When you ta yep, just I'm still laughing. Okay, what about when boundaries are broken? Again, I think that one a lot of us can relate to that one.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's something that it's always, and I think what's something to add to the back end of that as well, like, when they're consistently broken. Like, I think that you can really tell, like, patterns by people through, like, through their actions, like, through what they're doing, but if they're consistently breaking a boundary, 1, it sucks, it's scary, and also, okay, time to go back to point 2, fire the client and hope that they let you fire them.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah. I think, of course, when a client ghosts you after a discovery call, at any point, when you're ghosted by anyone, let's be real. Like, yeah, when you're just ghosted, that's spooky.
I love this one because I'm obviously just now kinda going through some of these. Obviously, I added my own too, but this makes me laugh because I shared on our stories this week a funny meme about this, but when a client texts or calls your personal number, which if we've learned anything, do not do it. Do not do it. Do not do it. Abort, abort, abort. Do not do it because even the oh, yeah, just this literally
Yeah.
happened to
There's
me this morning.
yeah. There's no need. Like, when I think about it, because I feel like it goes back to those boundaries being broken, like, I'm not a doctor. I don't need to be on call. I don't need, like, to be, and that's, we've talked about this so many times, and, like, the response time. Like, our response
Mm,
time does not need to be, I know you can attest to that, Maddie, but, like,
mhm,
it does not need to be so quick. Like, even I will say it, it needs to be said, even if you're communicating with a client via, like, an instant message, like instant message, Slack, Voxer, anything, like, whoa, AOL Instant Message no longer exists, so it's just messaging at this point. There's
mhm.
no instant about it, so I would add that too.
Yeah, yeah.
I think
Okay,
ooh, oh, are you gonna add something?
N no, 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 no. I was so the next one, the whole, "Hey, can we jump on a Zoom?" And again, that
I
I
don't
think
like,
that I hate that, and I think that ties in perfectly with the messaging. Oh, that's I think that is what I was gonna say. When a client also has this expectation of you to respond like, because let me backtrack. We all probably, or I really hope you all have it in your contract that you will respond within. Let me be the one to tell you, start with 48 hours, but it always sounds nice better when it's like 24 to 48 hours. Um But the 48 something we don't talk about is how for me, the reason why we have that is because sometimes we'll get a message that is so left field or anxiety driven. I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but when you read that message, it's as if all the air has been taken out of you and you're just like you need you need to power down for the day because you're just like if I respond now, it is going to be not good.
Yeah.
And so when a client expects you to respond to them within 20 minutes, but then let's say you need something from them and they don't respond to you within 48 hours or more,
Mhm.
why?
Yep. Yep. Can I add to that?
Mhm.
We have a client who I'm waiting for access for something, and I think that goes
Mm.
along the same lines. Adding
Mhm.
access to a tool or something, like, I they have asked what's like, because it's something specific and I don't wanna go into it, but, like, "Can we do XYZ?" "We can." "Can I
Mhm.
have access to XYZ?" Like, it has been it has been weeks, and I think that plays, like, perfectly into the into the response time never being reciprocated, or not I don't wanna say never, but for this scenario when clients are expecting of shorter time frames or whatnot, like and I also wanna just emphasize, put it in the contract, like,
Mhm.
put it in. I put it in, I bold it, I'm like, "I want you to read it, I want clients to know this," like, it's so, so important. So
And
important.
I think that going to the, "Hey, can we jump on a Zoom?" It's just also when clients maybe this is another one, but when clients don't understand how long it takes to do something, for instance,
Mhm.
how long it takes to do a full month's B2B and B2C emails and expecting it done within, I don't know, for, like, literally 2
Mhm.
days, and you're just thinking to yourself I also pray and hope none of you uh, have experienced this, but I sadly think that there are a few listeners who are like, "Wait, you too?"
Mhm.
Yes,
Yeah,
me too.
yeah, yeah. I think that goes I know that's kind of like our last one here too, but goes so similar, like, "Can you
Oh,
create this
yeah.
quick post? Can you do this quickly? Like, can this be done?" I think one thing that's so interesting to me, like and I think it's also similar, like, whenever we onboard a client, as soon as we onboard, like, we're onboarding, we're doing the onboarding process. We're not posting the first day of said project. Like, that's the onboarding period. Like, there's time that needs to be in between that to create a strategy and to meet and to plan and to get approval and all of that. Like, posts aren't super, super quick. And I think that's just one thing that I feel like the expectation is not even just for, hey, do this quick post, but it's like, hey, write this quick email. Hey, create this quick strategy, create this quick content calendar. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I don't know if I can name one thing that's quick in the work that I do every day. And I don't think I'm like a very slow worker, but I don't think there's anything that's really quick. And
No.
I think that goes to the request of, you know, hey, can you whip this up really quickly? Can you do this? Like, I don't know the amount of time it takes to do XYZ.
I think you just gave me so be on the lookout. I think you just gave me a post idea for next week, and I wanna share it. I wanna Easter egg it here, but where I
Mhm,
really should time myself, I should come up with like, this post, right? And
mhm.
do it, like, in a minute, literally, like, where it's gonna be text on a screen,
Oh,
essentially, versus the
yeah.
actual time it takes, and it's like, here are the result. Because I think I've seen that when it comes to, like,
Oh, there's
artists,
a ton.
where it's like the horse I feel
Yeah.
like the example I've seen where it's like the horse, like, the head is, like, literally drawn by, like, a three-year-old, and then the body is drawn
Mhm.
by, like, a legitimate artist where it's like, and they always compare it to price too, which is another thing
Yes.
where maybe you could always be like, "Sure, I sure can, but, like, here you go. This is what you get real quick."
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Absolutely. I think it ties into as well, like, when clients are like, "Oh, like, I used to do this in X minutes or X seconds or probably not seconds, but like X minutes or this time frame or X hours." And you're like, interesting. Why was I
Mhm.
hired?
Yes.
Like, it always like it brings it back. It's like, wait a minute, hold on. Who's doing what here? That's another thing. I think we're at the end of our list here, but I think the other thing I would add is that something that's super scary to me is when clients have to micromanage. Like, there is a reason why I'm not in the role that I am, because not that I can't take direction, but, like,
Mhm.
I don't need a boss. Like, I really don't need a boss. Like, I don't need someone to micromanage every single thing that I'm doing, because I don't know what it is about that, but whenever I'm being micromanaged, I become like I I don't wanna say, like, incompetent, but, like, I can't work to my full capacity if I'm being micromanaged, because I'm like, again, I'm like, everything is gonna be under a what's the word? Magnifying glass. Magnifying glass. So, that's one thing that I think is just super scary, super spooky. It's just being micromanaged by a client.
My
No one
yeah.
wants that, no one needs that.
And we have one more scary client social media manager story submitted on our hashtag hotline. Here it is.
So, one of the spookiest slash scariest moments I experienced as a social media manager was when a client got so upset with me that I did not zoom in enough on her bikini picture when it got posted. Let me just put things into perspective here. She is a 40 plus year old lady, and that is what she got mad over was, why did I not zoom in enough on the bikini picture? She is married and has 3 kids. Well, that should sum up as to why I didn't. So yeah, she was very upset, and she actually ended up canceling her services with the company that I worked for later that month. That was just one of the scary things that she was upset over.
Yes. Okay, I wanna hear our listeners, I want you guys to share with us what are some of your scaries, your social media manager scaries. Please share with
Mhm.
us. Honestly, I think this will be something I have in the stories all week next week, every single day, where it's just the question box
Mhm.
where you guys can share. And as I like to remind you all, like we see you, which
Mhm.
that's also scary when you like don't acknowledge my existence. Kidding. But but
Yeah.
yeah, please share. Tell us your story times. They can be repeated too. Like if you also um are in the same boat as me currently and are working on
Mhm.
B2B and B2C emails for November, December, and January, and it's due in literally a week. I feel you, I hear you, I
Mhm.
see you, I love you. I'm not
Yeah.
sweating.
Okay, I wanna add something to that. This is kinda crazy. I didn't run this by Maddie, but I'm doing it.
I'm here
I'm
for
just
it.
doing the crazy
Mhm,
idea that popped in my head. So our episode is out at the start of the week, and in the middle to end of the week on Thursday is Halloween, hence we're in the spooky season.
mhm.
The other thing about that is this is a really fun week at Social Savvy because we're celebrating our 6th business birthday, which is really
That's right.
exciting. It's technically on Halloween, like, that was technically the day that I, like, started, and thankful for that because I can remember it every year. I also put it in my calendar, but I can remember it based off Halloween. I also really love Halloween, so I want to if you are listening to this episode at this moment, you just heard Maddie's call for submitting a hashtag hotline for a scary, spooky story, something you can share, like, around the campfire, whatever.
Mhm.
From this point that this episode is live through October 31st, 2024, by end of day, 11:59, right before the day ends, if you submit a hashtag hotline, you'll get a little trick or treat from us. It'll be a treat. We'll send you a coffee. So, coffee, tea, whatever you want. I'm going
Oh.
crazy. I'm pulling the crazy idea. That's a treat. So, that is a treat. That will happen. You have to send a hashtag hotline. And hey, if I buy one coffee or if I have to buy everyone a coffee, I'm doing it to myself. But I'm like, guys, we need some hashtag hotlines, and I want to incentivize you guys. So we'll send you a little coffee, matcha, whatever you want for your little Halloween treat. Just please
Yeah.
send us through that hashtag hotline.
Oh, I love that. I love that. That is genius. Look at you just coming up with something quickly. Okay, because let's be honest, we can come up with stuff quickly, but
Yes, when we
not all
want
the
to.
time.
When we want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, when we want to. And I fully piggybacked off you saying that, and that's where it sparked that idea. Like, that's where I do my best work, is like, let me piggyback off of what
Yeah.
Maddie has said. So, okay, we're doing it. We're doing it. I'm hoping we can send some fun treats. So, yeah, leave a hashtag hotline.
We will catch you on the airwaves next week.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode. If you made it this far, I think we've officially become internet besties. You can always call into the hashtag hotline and say hello, leave a review, or ask your burning questions.
Make sure you follow, rate, and review the podcast wherever you're listening from. Subscribe to the Social Club newsletter for our weekly email, and shoot us a DM over at hashtag managed on Instagram, letting us know what your biggest takeaway was from this episode.